Greetings everybody, this is slicedlime, and welcome to another tutorial. As usual, we've just created this new world. I've changed a few game rules to turn day-night cycle off and command block output off. We're just finding a blank space here somewhere. Let's maybe work in this sort of desert area. So the point of today's tutorial is to find a block placed by the player. It's a fairly common request. I see it on the forums all the time. It essentially goes like, how can I execute a command on a block that the player places? Or how can I find all the blocks of a certain type in an area around the player? For instance, I want to find all the crafting benches that the player has placed and I want to run a command on them. And that's, in the base implementation of Minecraft, impossible. But there are ways to do it. If you saw my recent video on advanced furnaces and custom smelting recipes, you'll notice that I'm actually running commands on player-placed furnaces. So the question is how we do that, and that's what I'm going to be showing you here today. So let's see, positive Z is that way. So the first thing we need, let's grab some building blocks. Smooth sandstone, why not? Let's get this up here. We're going to make a fill clock. Positive X is that direction. And let's kick that off. So this is fill clock. Now we can run commands, and it's oriented towards positive Z, which means that positive X is this direction. The blocks are going to run in this order: this one, then the bottom one, then the top one. So that's the order we have to work with, and if you want to know why that is, you can watch my tutorial on redstone execution order. So let's grab a block. Let's take a lapis block, for instance, and let's say we want to find, whenever I place this like this, I want to be able to run commands on that later. So what we need to do is we need to stick an entity in here that we can run commands off, because you can't run commands off blocks, but you can run commands off of entities. So our goal here is to, whenever I place down a lapis block, I want to have an armor stand sticking out of the center of this. Now normally if you did this in an actual system, you would have the marker tag set so it would be invisible, but for demonstration purposes we're going to keep it visible. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a scoreboard. So scoreboard objectives add block placed, and we're going to use a category for this called stat.useItem Minecraft.lapis block. So scoreboard objective set display sidebar block placed. Now we have that, and you will see that if I placed one, my score will increase. So what we want here is not actually for my score to keep increasing, but what we want is to get a single pulse whenever I place a block, and then for the score to reset to 0. So let's start with that. Scoreboard players set at a block placed 0. So now my score will appear to be 0 all the time, but let's do execute at E at A, so all players, we don't need entities here. Score block placed min equals 1. Say I placed a block. So anybody who has a score that is 1, even though we never see the score increasing from 0, this will execute whenever I have a score of at least 1, and it will cause me to say, I have placed a block, or rather, I placed a block. So you see when I placed a block, I say, I placed a block to the chat. So there is a pulse, but it's under a single frame. So this forms the basis of what we're doing. Now, let's stand on a block edge here somewhere. So let's place myself just inside this block. Now, 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, and 5 blocks away is the furthest away I can possibly place a block. So there is an area here the block that I'm standing in, and then 5 in every direction. So it's 11 by 11 by 11. That's the cube that we need to check if there are any blocks within. And we're going to do that by searching through it using armor stands. So we want an armor stand in the middle of a block. And it's actually important that the armor stand be in the center of a block to be able to compare them to each other. And I'll get to that. But what we're going to start out with, so we're going to remove the say command, but we're going to keep this execution. And the first thing we're actually going to do is summon item frame. And that one is going to be placed wherever the player is. Exactly what we did in my last tutorial about centering an entity in a block. And we're going to give it a name, align. So if I place a block now, I get an item frame. And that's going to help us align the armor stands in the center of the blocks. So the next thing I'm going to do is execute for that item frame. And its name was align. But remember, it was centered on a Z boundary, so we're going to move it half a block forward. So we're executing in the center of a block. And we're going to summon armor stand. And we're going to do it in -5, -5, -5. So that gets us to the corner of the search area, and now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a name, and the name is going to be start. Okay. So that's these 4 blocks filled, and the very next thing we have to do is we have to get rid of that item frame. Align. Because otherwise these blocks will run every frame, and they will keep spawning new armor stands, which we don't want. Alright, so now I have one armor stand that is in the corner of the search area, and we can start moving that around to search through the entire space. And it's 11 by 11 by 11. Which doesn't seem like much, but if you multiply that up, it turns out we have to search more than 1,300 blocks. So that would take a while, and we're not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to leave some space here because we're going to need to fill it in. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to execute for that start armor stand. And we're going to summon another armor stand. And an offset of 1 in the X direction, and we're going to give that a custom name, and it's also going to be start. So since we have one armor stand and it's standing in the corner, we're now summoning an armor stand that's right next to it. So we have 2 armor stands called start, and they're standing next to each other in the corner of the search area. Now let's do that again, but with an offset of 2. Since we now have 2 armor stands, they're called start, they're standing in the corner of the area. We can summon one on an offset of 2 for each one of them, and suddenly we have 4. And then of course we can do that again with an offset of 4 to get 8. So now we have 8 armor stands. We're covering most of the side of the search area, but we need 11, and we have 8. So that's why we left these blank spaces. And we're going to do the same thing here, at an offset of 8. But if we do this, then we're going to start multiplying these blocks as well, because they're all called start. So we're going to call these weight for now. So that one was an offset of 8. This one is an offset of 9. And this one is an offset of 10. So now we have 11 armor stands, but they have different names. So data e name equals weight. Custom name start. There we go. So that actually gives us, let's build up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually let's not place that yet, because these would keep multiplying infinitely. So for now, let's just add entity data at e start. Let's just call these hold for now so we can see them. And then let's place that. So you see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 armor stands. We also saw that they fell down, which is a problem, so we're going to have to change these commands. So no gravity 1 on all of them. So let me do that and we'll continue. Okay, so I've updated all the commands, and if we do it again, we'll see that we get still get 11 armor stands, but they are now standing around in midair as we wanted. And you can also see that if you look at the blocks around here, they are aligned to the blocks. So let's get rid of those and keep working. We have 11 armor stands. We need to search an 11 by 11 by 11 area. So we're still searching through 141 blocks, which will still take some time. So we're going to do it all again. We're going to leave 3 spaces. Actually, we can just set these right away. So now we're going to take the start armor stands, which are now 11, and then we're going to shift them in the Z direction instead. Oh, wait. So that one, this one executes first, then this one, let's make this 9, and then this one, let's make it 10. And then this one, so let's make that 1, but change the name to start. And then duplicate those 2. And 4. And now that we have all of them, we're going to do entity data at e name equals start, and we're going to custom name search, and then entity data at e name equals wait, custom name search. So that gives us a way of getting 11 by 11 armor stands, and they're all called the same thing. So if I place this block now, bam, lots and lots of armor stands. They're going to be called search at this point. So there's actually one more thing we need to do before we start using these. So I'm going to grab this last block, and I'm going to move its contents over here. So now we can put something else in this block, and we're actually going to want another scoreboard. So scoreboard objectives, add search. Dummy. Objective set display sidebar search. So this one is going to keep track of the height of these entities. So what we need to do is then, we're going to switch this around a bit. Instead of renaming wait and start to search, I'm going to rename wait to start. So after this block, now everything is called start. And then we're going to do scoreboard players set at e name equals start search -5. So we start everything off as -5, and then we're going to rename start to search. So if we place this block again, we have a whole bunch of search armor stands here, and they're all scored -5 in the search scoreboard. So let's get rid of those. Now the fun begins. Execute at e name equals search. Okay, so we're looking for something. Detect Minecraft lapis block. Wherever we are now. And in that case, we're kind of done, right? But there is actually a problem with just doing that. And the problem is, if I place 2 on top of each other, then both the searches are going to get stuck in the lower block. So that's not good enough, actually. What we need is yet another scoreboard. And we're going to call that one skip. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do scoreboard players set at e name equals search skip 0. So we're going to give all of the armor stands a score of 0 in the skip scoreboard. Now, execute at E, name equals found. So found is the name we're going to give our armor stands when they find a lapis block. So we're going to execute off of all the ones we've already found. And we're going to do scoreboard players set at a name equals search in a radius of 0. Skip 1. And here is where we require that the armor stands are all centered, because the radius of 0 will search within one block. And if the armor stands, if one happened to be summoned here and one happened to be summoned here, they would find each other and cause a skip, even though they are actually in different blocks. But when we've aligned them to the center of the block, that won't be a problem. So after doing first this and then this, we now have a scoreboard that we can use to figure out if this is actually an undetected lapis block. So we add score skip equals 0. So skip cannot be 1. And then if we detect a lapis block, then we're going to do entity data at E, name equals search, R equals 0, C equals 1, and we're going to simply rename it custom name found. And of course, if it's found, it's no longer called search, which means it will no longer keep being moved. So let's move them. dp at E, name equals search, wherever it happens to be, but one block up. So we're going to add 1 onto the score in the search scoreboard. We teleport them one block up. So what we're trying to avoid here is having these armor stands stick around forever and keep rising into the sky. So kill anything named search with a score of search that is at least 6. So we've gone from -5 up to +6, which means we've left the search area. Now, let's try it out. Okay, so something went wrong. We have no armor stands left, I think. So execute at E, name equals found. Say hi. So the problem here is that the syntax of the detect is wrong. It's supposed to be here, Minecraft lapis block, and then we need a -1 to say that we don't care what the entity data is for that. Let's try again. And there we go. Now we have an armor stand. It's actually like offset because something goes strange. It's a desync issue. It's actually in the center of the block, and we can verify that by doing execute at E, name equals found, set block wherever it is to be a redstone block. So we see that was actually the correct block. And if we had set those to marker, they would be invisible, but it would still be in the block and we could execute commands on it. Whew. That is a very complicated process. You see it turned out to be quite a number of command blocks here. But it's a solid method. It will always find your blocks. And once you've done that, you will be able to execute commands on those blocks. And if you've kept this in your world from the very start, then there's no risk that there are any blocks without an armor stand. So obviously you don't want to use this if there's a block that people will be placing all over. So, and it also won't work if there's blocks, so you can't use it for sand. Since there won't be an armor stand in all these sand blocks from the beginning. Armor stands do cost performance. They don't cost that much performance, but they do cost performance, so be careful with what you use this for. There's also quite a significant risk that if you're working with these and you're multiplying armor stands in this method, if you are careless in your testing, you will create an infinite armor stand spawner. I've done it several times, and it will crash your world. So be careful, keep backups, and don't do it in a world that's important. You can paste it in later. If you want to examine these commands further, I'm going to be leaving a download link to this tutorial world in the video description. So if you weren't following along, or if you want to take a closer look or fiddle with it or add or experiment, then you're welcome to download the tutorial world and do whatever experiments you like. I hope you found the tutorial useful, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and sharing the video so that others may benefit from the information as well. My name is slicedlime. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.